Ta-da! Okay. Oh, be on the air. There we go. We're on the air. Man, oh man, here we are in Uncle Bill's kitchen again, and I'm trying to figure out all this stuff about the sex. Oh my golly, gee whiz! Everybody's everybody's in trouble for having sex with people who didn't want to have sex, who didn't want nothing to do with them. This is a shameful thing for Hollywood, for the politicians. Uh, the only thing I can say is the reprehensible acts that occurred over and over again over decades ago, they probably occurred. I mean, this is what women thought they were supposed to tolerate, except for a few. You know, there was always a lot of ladies out there that said, hey man, don't put your hands on me, or hey man, don't touch me. Now in Hollywood, I can understand why they might not say anything because, you know, you're looking at this wonderful part in a wonderful commercial or a wonderful movie, and you're not going to say anything to rock the boat because, yeah, okay, I got to give up a little bit of affection just to, you know, make a life. You know, I don't want to be a waitress forever or a store clerk or you know, receptionist at the bank. I want a life. So yeah, it's okay. I'll put up with it. Now this is just women. This happened to men too. In fact, there's this one big football player looking fella. He was talking about how this casting agent grabbed him by the privates and he wanted to deck him, but he didn't do anything. Didn't do a thing. Now, why didn't he do a thing? Well, it's because he basically felt like, hey, I don't have to rock the boat here. I mean, I've got no physical injury from this. It's just a moral outrage, and I'm going to have to put up with it. Yeah, yeah. Hey, I'm getting a little Santa Clausy around here, don't you think? This is going to be fun as we go along. I'll probably try to trim it up and make it look better. I don't know. Scruffy seems to be my style. Anyway, the thing is, this was a standard practice. Oh, ever since I can remember, women were putting up with being touched when they didn't want to be touched, being spoken to in ways they didn't want to be spoken to. You know, it's like just recently I asked a little girl to sit on my lap for a picture. There's a room full of people. I wasn't doing anything weird or anything like that. But there were people who took offense to that. Now that's a new standard for me. That's a new thing because it's always been okay to ask. It's always been okay to knock on the door and say, hey, can I come in? That's never been against the rules. Well, now apparently it's against the rules, especially if the kids are, you know, you're trying to do something weird, of course, that's a whole other show. But to interact with them in any other than a verbal manner, and probably not even that, you have to uh, go around the bush and get it straightened out. Now, uh, I didn't want to just talk about sex. Let's talk a little bit about race. I'm going to get all kinds of topics here that I shouldn't be talking about. I don't know about any of you, but I've been the subject or the victim, I should say, of racism. Now, it isn't just black people. I've lived in several different countries, been in different countries, worked in different countries, and I can tell you without a doubt, every single race on the planet has got its share of racists. Every single one of them. And the interesting thing is, they aren't always, ooh, let's hang that fella. Sometimes they're just sneaky. Oh, they'll find some excuse to fire you or to pass you over I recently lost a job because of a racist situation. Now, that person that terminated me would never admit that, but that's the bottom line, and no question about it. And I have had that happen before, not intentionally, just the way it was. When I was a kid in high school, I got terminated from a job hoeing sugar beets. Now, hoeing sugar beets is hard ass work, and I worked hard as fast as I could go. But I got terminated because they couldn't make me work for the same price as they could make an immigrant work. That was kind of sad. I felt really bad. In one case, I didn't get hired for a job because I'm Lily Cracker White. And they were trying to make the company more diverse. That's kind of interesting. Okay, fine. And I don't have a problem with that. Okay. The reason I don't have a problem with that is because we need more diversity. We need more people of different types to mix together and enjoy each other. I'm here to tell you, I've lived in Asia. I love Asians. In fact, they're my favorite people on the planet. I don't particularly care for white people that much. I see how they are. People are pretty much the same all over the world, but the Asians seem to be more polite, cleaner, and overall more accepting than white people. And especially, old white people, us cranky old white people. Man, I'll tell you what, I've run into so many of them that are just racist as can be, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Life has changed here, boys and girls. We've got to learn, especially old people, have got to learn to accept that every culture in the world wants the same thing. We want to have babies. We want to take care of our elderly. We want to have families that are happy. We want to have an income that is going to provide us with a comfortable lifestyle. Now, it may not be, Donald Trump's 16 mansions or whatever he's got, but it'll be, hey, I got a house and a warm place to sleep, and I got food for my kids, and each one of them got a toy for Christmas, and that may be it. But we all want that. We want to be able to take care of our dead and honor them. We want to be free from being prosecuted or persecuted. Actually, prosecution, you can't help it, man. I mean, the man's coming after you, you're prosecuted. Which reminds me, listen, boys and girls, I don't care who you are, where you are, or what you're doing, but when the man tells you to do something, just do it. Just do it. Because if you don't, you could die. Now, if you do it and he's wrong, then you got yourself a paycheck. If you do something that the policeman tells you to do, he tells you you're under arrest and I'm taking you away, I've got cause, and it turns out he don't have no cause to do all of that, you get a paycheck. That's not a bad deal. But if he's wrong and you don't comply, then you could die. And what happens? Well, your family might get a paycheck or they might not. And one thing for sure, you're not going to get to enjoy it the way you should. So please comply. God, I hate to see people get hurt because they didn't pay attention to what they're supposed to do. Of course, I kind of lean a little bit toward the policeman because I was a policeman for 20 years, for crying out loud. And, I kind of hurt my feelings to see bad cops screw up because they weren't trained right, or good cops screw up because they weren't trained right. If you're not trained right, it's so easy to screw up. You don't even have, and the people don't have any clue. All the stupid decisions you have to make on a split second. And if you get it wrong because you weren't trained right, you're done. You're going to, not only you're going to get fired, you're going to go to prison. It's a big, sad deal. So anyway, so we covered a little bit of race, a little bit of sex. I'm telling you, gentlemen, she's got to let you know. She's got to let you know. Ask her where to go, what she wants to do. Be very polite what you say. And if she's not making signals that she's interested, don't even ask. Don't be a fool. Life's changed, boys and girls. Now, it really changed for me, of course. Now, you got to remember, I didn't get interested in girls until I was about 8 years old. So that leaves us 60 years of change. That's a lot of change. And if you're a white boy, you ain't got no hope. You ain't got no hope if you make that mistake. I promise you. You haven't got a prayer in the world. Now, I got to tell you, just for fun, I'm going to run over time a little bit here, but just for fun, in my life, I have engaged with people in Mexico. I worked in orphanages there. In Taiwan, China, I spent a week there with the most beautiful young woman, and I almost brought her home to mama. She was so much fun, and we had such a good time. And I enjoyed that culture there so much. I keep wanting to go back. I lived in Hawaii for 5 years, and there's a basic Polynesian culture on the island that I lived in. On Kauai, and I worked with the poorest of the Kauaians. And then I got to tell you, they're the nicest people on the planet. They give you the shirt off their back, and they will feed you till you pop. It's a wonderful thing. Now, other than that, I never made it to Africa, but I spent years of my life working in the ghettos of America as a cop. I never had one disrespectful problem. I never had one person cause me an issue that I could solve with just my hands. Now, aside from that, I used to do wine tours with the parents of the basketball team and hang out with them at their houses, at their parties, and just be great friends with them. And you know what? They all black. So Mexico, China, ghettos, all these people are loving, warm, great people. Now, you probably see my little rap song says just behave. So, folks, I love you all, and I hope you can just behave until I get back next time. Bye. Bye bye. Hey, say goodbye.